How would you say, on the issue of the purpose of government to restrain evil, that the government has gone beyond Scripture on that directive from the Lord, that the government is put there, the governing authorities are put there for our good to restrain evil? What has the government done to go beyond Scripture?
Well, this is going to sound pretty radical to the ears of most listeners because I don't know a nice way to say this. We're so out of tune with Scripture. For several hundred years, for the first part of the history of this country, we did a good job at the health and welfare of people because it was in the role of the church. And the church has the DNA to do that. The number one, the family is the number one institution. Number two, then the church steps in, and then the community at large. And then finally, the role of the government. That's kind of a pecking order.
Right.
So health and welfare is 51% of the national budget. The government wasn't designed to do that.
Right.
It does a terrible job because it can't isolate out freeloaders, for example, waste, corruption, fraud. Everybody knows about it, but it never gets corrected. In the life of our churches, we have 320,000 churches in America. About 100,000 of them are Bible-believing churches. Let's just take those, for example. If they were the epicenter of the health and welfare for people, the freeloaders would be gone, so that would take an enormous load off. The taxation off of people from overregulation of government would be gone, so people could give more to their local church. Let me take this on a wild journey a step further. If we followed what ancient theocracy in Israel did, they had a tax 10% every 3 years for the poor. That's 3 1/3% every year. Let's suppose that somehow that went to the local worship centers across America and was ministry of the people by hundreds of volunteers from every church who could make a difference. People might say, well, that just can't possibly work. Well, let me ask you, how's it working right now? Pretty terrible.
Right.
Pathetic, quite frankly. And the attempts we're doing are all bankrupt, effectively.
Right.
And so what I'm calling this is to go back. I recognize that the theocracy of ancient Israel is not the same as the constitutional republic in America. So I get that. At the same time, there are principles that can come across the centuries, that can come to a different form of government and make sense and would work if we would just allow government be what it's supposed to be biblically and constitutionally, church be what you're supposed to be. We could step back up to the plate and do what we did so well. There's plenty of evidence that the church for a couple thousand years did a phenomenal job at meeting the health and welfare needs of our communities. We are cut out. We're made for that. The government is not.
Right. Oh, you're so right about that.